Hi there, this is Kate in the Nest, and I'm so glad you can join me for this session. I am, I know that many of us are deep in field notes and our spring prompts, and so that's what this is about. The Roxy Sisters Journal of Stitchery and where we're up to. I want to start with just a bit of a story, as I often do. I have not been picking up my accordion journal as much as my tablecloth, and I had to sort of stop earlier this week and do some reflection and think about that. And I suppose the thing that came most to my mind is that I started in this story with my field notes journal because in my paper journals I use these neutral colours. I also, because this is the first time I'm actually working with prompts that are probably a little bit more, well, rather than a vessel, it will be a nest or something like that. So I suppose I wanted to share that this has been an evolution for me, and I had to go back and ask myself, why wasn't I, you know, stitching as much as I should? The good news is I'm back with a vengeance and loving it. Where I went to was people assume that because my style is very colourful and full of flowers that I would find spring easy. But if you look at even my bird, which is something that you're very welcome to giggle at, I love 3D. I love layer upon layer, and I love telling the story of the time that I get my materials and products, etc. So that bird is not in the journal yet, and I've seen incredibly wonderful stitched birds because I still don't know if I want a bird and how I want it. The other thing that came to me really starkly was that when I started this, everything was on a cream, it's linen, beautiful linen, but that is also different to my usual style, which often begins with collage, lots of little bits, and then the appliques over the top. And the final thing is that I love edges, I love loopies, and if I don't have layers that inspire me to then stitch with, I think that was one of the reasons I was feeling a little bit lost. So I'm actually working backwards. I haven't got to the early pages yet, but I have been working on my nest page and my, oh, you'll see an explosion in a minute. Here's my little needlebook, and that's what's beautiful, to go past you into your previous works and just go, okay, what did I like about that? And so it reminded me of blankets, etc. So long-winded explanation. In my diaries, I've also been working with, I've had this for ages, some Tim Holtz fabric. Have I got one here to show you? Yeah, here. These are little tiny journal cards that will live in my field notes journals, and just, a simple applique onto card, and how amazing does that look? So in my journaling, I actually got re-inspired to think of, Kate, why aren't you using printed fabric? I do have some of Rachel's, which is this one, and other little bits. Okay, so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to actually do a bit of stitching as in the old days to calm me down and get me focused. So the first thing I want to do is, I have been looking at these flowers here. So this is bulbs, which is still a bit bland, and I'm going to talk to you about that, into the nest. So as I stitch, I'm going to be adding some colour up to these, because again, I was being pretty literal. I thought, this is wattle, and the colours of wattle are these colours. But for me, it doesn't, while it relates to these colours, it doesn't pop enough. So we're just going to be ourselves, and for Kate that is, let's go from underneath, forget which piece of work I'm on. And I want to thank all of my subbies for their encouragement about, why do we do this? We do it to have fun, to express ourselves, and to, just go through this wonderful process, which is both meditative and challenging sometimes. So how are you going with your project? I hope you're loving it. And I watched Rachel's, I'll get those scissors from, better just check. Yeah, I am. I watched Rachel's video before I filmed this and just saw her beautiful work. And, that's what I should say. I just pick up the influences because I also realised that during the week I grabbed this bit of material that I had, which is like Sarah is using for her spring blooms. So I've got a little bit of that that's bridging the gap. Okay, so let me go back to what I was saying. I've had some time with my mum this week, bless her, and when I walked into her room, I saw that she has built herself a nest. She's in a new house and she has surrounded herself with joyful things, and most of them are pink. And it was just a lovely reminder of, to me, and why I chose my channel name as The Nest. And I'm still making journals. There's nothing about my making that's going to stop, but it was proving a mouthful for a lot of people to go, Kate at the Journal Nest. So I've just simplified it. It's still me, but to make it easier for you. So Kate in the Nest, who journals, crochets, stitches, and who knows where we'll end up. But back to why I chose a nest. For me, a nest is all sorts of things. It's a sanctuary. It's a place of new life. It's a place where families nurture each other and all sorts of things. I should have gone to the dictionary, but you know what I mean. But most of all, I decided that my nest was looking a little bit not full of the things I surrounded myself with. So if you watch my previous videos, this was all beige and I had the crochet piece up here. Since I've been having those thoughts, I found this embroidery, which is really a basket of flowers, but that reminded me of a nest. I love, love, love my chenille toweling, whatever that is. So that for me is like a blanket. And you would have seen me with my flower and a brooch. This is a different one. And here are some bits of braid from Special Makers that I've bought kits from. May as well plug. Hi Beck, hi Zoe. So I immediately feel better about working on this piece because I've made the nest my own, if that makes sense, rather than a literal nest that belongs to someone else. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's really freeing for me, so I just thought I'd share it with all of you as my friends, and that if you get to the point where you're stuck, put it down. In fact, I have to be honest and say that at one point I thought I'm just going to start again. And then I thought there's too many beautiful memories and pieces on here. Okay, so there's the nest. I've just done a little bit of pop up there. Got to start joining these colours together. But this is where I am now. With needles flying everywhere. So this is my spring blossoms, and I've loved doing this page, and I thought, okay, that's more you. And I had to remind myself, what do I do when I feel best? I connect flowers to flowers. So over on this side, a gifted piece of doily tablecloth, I think probably, that's been dyed or painted, some special embroideries, and you may think, what's Kate doing with the water lilies? You would have seen these in lots of my work, but I thought it doesn't matter if it's not springtime. I need that pink. I need to, this is the strongest colour I've ever used, so I'm going to go over that with some pink and try my thread painting. I've secured the top of this down and I've built this section here. So you can see the colours are pretty wild, but this is what I love doing, and that is making them all match. So what are we going to do here first? Have I got that flower down? I'm actually thinking, no, I'm not thinking that yet. Stay on one idea. So let's just put this down over there. So this flower to this flower. And I suppose what I've done is I've freed myself from being worried if a flower, particular flower, is not in spring. I do have my tulips, and again I realized that I didn't have enough embroideries with daffodils, and I have told you that I will start doing some literal embroidery, but I realized I'm not ready yet because I was already struggling with my piecing. So I hope you can hear the happiness in my voice, because that's what it's supposed to feel like when we pick up our whatever we're making. We should be able to put it down and look at it and go, yeah, I like that. So I like this much more now. It's not all the way there, but as I sort of look now at this length, I go, okay, that's a garden, a spring garden with a nest and some bulbs. I had to take my mum out today, and we were giggling because the more I do this, the more we realise that we've been doing things like this for most of our lives. But because I was working so hard and she lives 8 hours, 9 hours away from me, we didn't get to see each other. So with her today, is she makes bags, and of course I love bags and pouches. So she had a little bag that she'd made, and it was appliqued. And I said, Mum, look at your work. You've got flowers all over your bag and they're beautifully appliqued. And she immediately said, oh, but mine is machined. Like, I said, but that's what's wonderful about it. I said, we're almost doing the same things now, but completely opposite. But it was just so beautiful. And I've told her I'm going to take, I was thinking how I could share some of her work, because I know Rachel and Sarah are able to share Juju's work sometimes, and my mum is very, very shy, and goes, oh no, I know, but I would love to do a little video of some of her things, because I'm realizing that we absorb, don't we? Our experiences really shape us, and it's not now until I'm doing this that I'm having the time to reflect about all the making we used to do together. I mean, we're still making, but and so while I was there, she's such a generous person. She's made all these little toys as gifts for children, and one family, she needed them by in a couple of days, and she said, I don't feel well enough to stitch, so out she bought me a little pouch that said hand sewing, and in it had her little needle book, cottons, threads, everything I needed. So I loved that I could sit beside her, and she'd stuffed them and I just need to overstitch. But again, so cute. Okay, and see, because I'm back in my happy place, what is happening is, I can see now more clearly what has to be done. And I can see these are daffodil, well, as daffodils or tulips to me, but yellow doesn't stand out enough. So I've got some little blanket stitching around there, and let's do a little bit of we'll see what happens, a little bit of seed maybe, just to make it more pinky up here. I do have to hint that the girls of Green Door have a bit of an adventure on in the next day or so. So I'm hoping that I can make a video to share pretty soon afterwards, because we're going treasure seeking together as a group. So Green Door on tour, and everyone's very excited. So these are just little tiny stitches that I've become very fond of, because then you even have to think. You just let your needle go wherever it wants to, and I could go up there, which I will. My mum was telling me that she's always been a multi-project person, and that's the thrill that she similarly would get up each morning and go, which one will I work on today? And that gave her a thrill and a sense of excitement. I love that sound of the thread going through. So these little stitches, totally random, are filling in this blank bit over here. It sort of makes the flowers pop out a bit more as well. Let's go down here. I just love the feel of multiple bits of stitching. I'm letting the beauty of others shine out, and I'm the joiner. I know that, you know, each of us does that differently, and I think that's what's wonderful about these projects. So I've freed myself of the worry of this by going back to being me, and I suppose when we look at this season, it will be all of spring, and it might be look for the prompt. I could give a list. Find the nest, find the bulb. What's the other one? Oh, and find the blossoms. They might be easier. Okay, thread hasn't run out yet. More stitches in there and down. There we go. So battery's starting to run out, so we know that that's too pink there. What else we got going on in here? Well, that's right, this little bit of garden beside the nest. Let's see how we can bring what am I going to do with those? Let's see if we can go over one of them. This is a different sort of shade of blue, so it will be interesting to see how that turns out. I'm sure before I only had oranges and yellows, and that wasn't working for me. Okay, so I'm thinking, why don't we just let's see if I can make this center a little bit 3D first. Erasing the pink, which I didn't really mean to do, but that will be okay because I'm getting to the variegated bit. Oh yes, but you can see it's already standing up a bit more when I go back to this end. Get rid of that needle. Does that happen to you? I never want to lose a needle, then I can't find one, and then they're sticking up everywhere they shouldn't be. All right. So sort of like that really dark bit of variegation there. So let's keep working with that. Sorry if there's shadow. So just highlight some of these petals. As 3D. I'll pull that one a bit too tight. go. So really I'm not creating the flower from scratch, I'm just enhancing the design that was really already there in a random way. That's making me happy. One stage I thought, is it the accordion journal itself that is inhibiting you? And then I thought no, and I looked at all the ones showing on the playlist and I thought they're so beautiful. So let's just stick with it. Okay, one more petal in here. And down. Finish that off. And so again, this is, I hope you can hear the excitement. I go, oh, what can I do now? Because I like to show you a bit of different things. So that is, we made one flower pop out of the garden. Here's a tapestry one, and this is bare over here. So I wonder what we've got time to do. Oh, one of the ideas was, here's my favorite blanket. I don't know whether, can't remember whether I did use some of that in there, but I am going to have a little piece of that. So my nest is becoming truly like a bowerbird's nest. This blanket backs so many bits of my tablecloth. And I've got this that I was using in my crochet bags, which I've used here. In fact, I might save that for over there somehow. That might become a bias or a bit, you know, maybe. Oh, that's, yep, I like that idea. Very frayy, but that could become more stylish. Must quieten that down. There's the nest. I've showed you that the bird looks much happier now. Much happier. And then by next time I see you, I'm going to commit to this so that I don't have to be embarrassed. Resolving this, so it's supposed to all go together. So that too bright at the moment, but the yellow is starting to pop, flower to flower. And I think I was limited by this beautiful piece of crocheted embroidery, but my piece was too big and I haven't got anything to go with it. So I'm thinking, let me just give you a little thing. And I am going to take off this yellow daffodil. Should be easy, but I want to keep this stitching at the top. So here we go. Just always be bold. There you go. It's coming off now. Snip these threads. And they are daffodils. But let's see how we, because this is, I like this field notey look. So let's measure. If we tucked it in there a bit. And we could tuck it nearly under there. I'll tear that. And then I want it to be amongst that daffodil. So let's start out with, no, I think we just tear it. That's fieldy notes. Maybe we'll take this little bit off. I'm not tearing the right way. Yep. Tuck them up there. Show these flowers here into, and so I'll stitch that down, and then I'll go to my nest and find some pinks. I don't want to show you my nest, it's got all things like this in it. But even actually, see, I think the daffodil has to be down a bit further, and I've lost my bulb. Okay, but I hope you've got some ideas from that. So this is where I'm up to with all that's working and more that's not working, but I'm hoping by sharing that with you, you are encouraged to know that this is a process. We're all learning together, and the support is just wonderful. So thank you so much. This is Kate in the Nest saying bye until next time. Bye.